Welcome to Network. My name is Pumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, To The Poll is asking you if you think Elon Musk can achieve total freedom of expression and freedom of speech on Twitter. Results of that are coming up later in the program. This program is coming to you from Africa's Travel Indaba in Durban. Here's what's coming up in this program. We have details on how technology has changed the way we travel. We find out about our option about keeping warm with the power cuts that we are experiencing this as winter starts. And in our conversation, we look at the future of podcasting. The last installment of Africa's Travel Indaba was in 2019, before the pandemic forced the world into hard lockdowns that also stopped people to travel. But even before then, technology was starting to get into the travel space and changing the way people travel. This week, we're looking at how technology is playing a role in the way people travel nowadays.
You'd expect those exhibiting here to be game lodges, hotels, and perhaps seaside resorts. Those are here too, but one is also finding technology offerings that are trying to pitch themselves to them. Where2 is based in Cape Town, and they're an online platform for those in the tourism sector.
What Where2 does is we help everyone work together better and collaborate better. So everyone needs content, so in Where2 you can put all your content into one place and we give it to everyone. In the old days they used to hand discs around and flash drives, and everyone had to manage their content individually. So we said, listen, this is a waste of time. Every company is having to do the same work. So let's create a tech platform that allows everyone to do the hotels to put all the information in one place and everyone can get it.
Africa's Travel Indaba was huge in its return since COVID-19 hard lockdowns disturbed both conferences and the tourism industry. It's the 2 years that taught many in the industry to do things differently and go digital. Africa Travel Exchange says they facilitate such online meetings with those on their platform.
On the platform you can become a member, that's free membership on the platform. We have 5,000, by the way, 5,000 people already loaded up on our platform. You won't be able to see, you'll be seeing members, they won't be able to see you. If you're wanting to do business, you'll then sign up for a virtual office, which is all yours, all your networking, all your business on there like an office. But it's virtual, open 365 days, 24 hours, all time zones. And then, if you want to do business, then you can knock on someone's door on the platform. They can accept or decline, and there we are, virtual business.
While here physically to meet buyers and others in the travel space, the Democratic Republic of Congo says it has learned to use various digital platforms to speak to potential visitors.
So we are pushing for use of, réseaux sociaux in social media. A lot of entrepreneurs are investing in social media for tourism. You can book your hotel from the internet now. You can look for any tourism opportunity in Congo from the internet. And I think this one is also one of the new sector people are investing in. Like before, people was investing, for example, in hotels and in leisure, but now digital is becoming a main platform to promote the tourism in general and in Congo also.
Small businesses on show here say they too have had to be innovative because they have realized that not all clients can get to them physically.
With COVID, there's been less human contacts. So we've resorted to going online for most of our products and our sales. And a lot of people are still afraid to have that interaction with people. So there are now systems that have been put into place that can help you process any sales contactless.
With our online shop, it's really great because you do place your order and then everything goes into a cart and then you can just easily check out. You add in your banking details, everything is very secure, and you check out. We get the order on our side via email, and then we are able to process your order, and then we send it over to courier, and then you get your parcel.
The digital disruption that came with the COVID-19 pandemic has evidently forced some of those at Africa's tourism indaba to realize that digital is the future of the travel industry. It's the only way some have managed to stay in business and get visitors and other clients in the times things would be open in the last 2 years.
Different parts of the African continent are experiencing power cuts for various reasons. So, producer Lebo Mokomela is now telling us about the alternatives we can use to power up our homes as winter is creeping in.
The solar mini-grid is brightening the prospects of villages in rural Malawi. It is powering maize mills, a sunflower processing facility, and allowing wheelchair-bound welder Bartholomew Soko to expand his trade. The grid is a solution by Malawi's community energy.
So we installed the mini grid. Currently, store has 2 maize mills operating, so it means people no longer trek 17 kilometers for milling. And now there is a sunflower oil processing facility, something which has also triggered other value chains. And I think what we've noted currently, for example, is that with the maize mills, people are milling their maize here. The byproduct, which is the maize husk, is also feed for livestock, and we have seen that there is also an increase in livestock production, mainly broiler chickens, as well as things like livestock production of pig and others. And at the same time, also you see that with the sunflower, the facility has sort of like triggered production of sunflower.
With rolling blackouts South Africa is currently facing, some people use solar to power their households, but that too has its ups and downs.
Living with solar, it's a lifestyle adaptation. You have to, when you first adopt solar, you have to shift your daily routine around using as much energy as possible during the day. If that's not possible, then the alternative is to store that energy in batteries. So, say for example, you're not at home during the day, but you've got a pool pump that runs, or you've got some washing that someone's doing, or washing the dishes, clothing, etc. Your geyser that runs during the day, and adding timers to that, it helps because you can schedule your geyser then to run during the day when there's plenty of sunshine. And during the night, of course, when everyone arrives at home, and you start cooking and you watch TV at night, then you've got your battery to discharge. And then obviously the size of the system determines how much you can save and how much energy you can store.
The hydroelectric solution is a route other Africans like Sister Alphonsine Caesar, a nun from the Democratic Republic of Congo, is taking. She built this plant to overcome daily electricity cuts in her town of Miti, which is based in the eastern part of the country. Blackouts are a daily disruption in the Congo, a vast Central African country of around 90 million people that source most of its electricity from a rundown and mismanaged hydropower system. Fed up with relying on candlelight and costly fuel-powered generators, Caesar started raising money in 2015 to build the hydropower plant. However great and progressive for the continent, some of these solutions might vary in costs depending on usage.
So the freestanding solutions that are portable, that you can take along with you wherever you go, those are the cheapest solutions, because obviously there's no labor components involved to install these. You purchase it from a retail outlet and you're able to take it along with you wherever you go. but there's a limit to what you can use, with it. And when it comes to battery backup solutions for your households that want to include more than just that. So, for example, the next step would be, the inclusion of perhaps the microwave, being able to heat up a meal during load shedding. Then we have to take into account that for that, to be able to run that kind of appliance, you have to invest in a larger inverter.
When TikTok became popular at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, we were repeatedly told that those using it were largely between the ages of 18 and 24. But as the platform matures, we're finding that some of the elderly are also on TikTok now.
Unlike her mother and siblings, Lily Ebert survived death at the German Nazi concentration camps in 1945. After the camp was liberated, Ebert made a promise to tell her story. Now, at 98, Ebert is keeping that promise in a way no one could have imagined in 1945. With the help of her 18-year-old great-grandson, Dov Foreman, Ebert is telling her story to millions of people on TikTok.
As a young person, I'm often taught to be wary of the dangers of social media. Hate and misinformation and Holocaust denial and anti-Jewish racism, but racism of all kinds, spreads like wildfire on social media. But I recognised that there was a space that was missing, a space for education, and a space not only for education, but to combat the deniers, to combat the misinformation, to combat the people who say that the Holocaust never happened or that Hitler missed a Holocaust survivor. And I realised that there's a void that needs to be filled, and we should be the ones that can do that. Somehow my great-grandmother's found words to, she says it in the book, you can't explain the unexplainable, but she has to. So she finds those words to do so. And I thought, well, if people can go viral on TikTok or Twitter for dancing and playing with their dogs and cats, then we can too, for spreading these important messages. And thankfully the response we've had has been very overwhelmingly positive.
In her videos, Ebert is open about the horrors. In a video viewed some 25 million times, she held out her left arm to show the number Nazis tattooed into her arm.
But is a 10,572. That is what I was. I didn't call me. I was not my name. We were not humans. We were only a number. And we were taken also only for a number.
While TikTok is primarily the domain of younger audiences, older users are also becoming increasingly active on the platform.
I think what it truly represents is the fact that TikTok is a community that celebrates and, more importantly, encourages diversity. So us as a platform to see that, me representing her is very important. But what we actually find is that the users and the creators and all those that are on the platform are resonating with this, and more importantly, are interacting and enjoying this type of content, or even content from elderly people. I'd love to give you two great examples. Recently, we've just completed or recently just launched a campaign called Freedom to Be Me. It was in celebration of Freedom Day, and it was actually related to, a lot of the content was related to a very simple effect that we had with the South African flag behind users. And we saw some amazing content being created of users of all ages.
COVID-19 has accelerated its rise. This has been the case for most social media networks during the lockdown, but TikTok's growth has managed to outpace the competition.
Definitely, I believe people being, by nature of being locked down, by nature of being at home, definitely supported the growth. But we also recognize, while people potentially, were in favor of downloading TikTok during lockdown, they wouldn't have stayed unless they were able to find the content that they get from these amazing creators in the region, and certainly wouldn't be able to stay on the platform unless they had a safe environment as well as a diverse community of content creators and users which they're interacting with and enjoying on a daily basis.
Since their first video on February 9th, 2021, the two have posted more than 380 videos on the app, drawing in 1.7 million followers.
the impact and not only the impact but the outcome of some of our videos has been unbelievable. So to share those moments together is really, really special. And we're invited to Buckingham Palace to meet with Prince Charles, who wrote the foreword to our book, and it's moments like those that we'll remember forever, but even more so the moments where we're just able to spend Shabbat together or sit here together now sharing these important stories. I can't even say how honoured I am to have that responsibility, to know that I'm going to continue my great-grandmother's torch and hopefully light millions of other people, young people's torches across.
Tech analysts say seniors like TikTok for some of the same reasons as teens. It's fun and entertaining, and if they choose to post videos, it's an easy way to express themselves and build a community. Another key driving factor in the TikTok's app's popularity is the fact that despite being a global app, it has a strong focus on localized content.
Sure, and again, to give you some examples, case in point, music, Amapiano, for example, the growth of Amapiano and the use of Amapiano locally, and then, very excitingly globally, with the hashtag Amapiano sitting at over a billion views, is exciting because it means that local users are interacting with that type of content. They're also drawn to it, and more importantly, the platform has given local content the opportunity to be showcased on a global level.
The current popularity of the TikTok app is astonishing, but still does not guarantee that it will ever reach the levels achieved by other social networks like Instagram and YouTube.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Let's take a short break. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, there was a time a lot of people were leaving traditional media and saying they wanted to do their own thing live, but it seems like they're tracking back, and Facebook has also announced that they are shutting down their podcasting feature. Now, to help us analyze all of this is Dr. Shepard Mbofu. He is with the University of Limpopo. Hello, and thank you very much for chatting to us. Maybe we'll start by looking at the difference between what podcasting is and what traditional radio actually is.
Some of the major differences between radio and podcast content is that in terms of radio, you have a preset scheduling of programs that listeners can listen to. So it's sort of well planned ahead and allocated a certain amount of time within which that program actually happens. Podcasts are not constrained by time. You have the podcasters, as it were, recording their content and posting it online, and you can listen to it as a content consumer anytime. As a listener, you can download anytime and listen to it. And also you find that podcasts are a series of audio files that focus on certain specific niche topics. It can be podcasts about cars, it can be podcasts about family life, it can be podcasts about raising children, whatever it is.
And Prof, do you think the space for traditional, or rather for podcasting and online radio versus traditional radio, especially on the African continent, as we see that a lot of people are now tracking back to a space they left?
Of course, we know the issues around data availability and issues around affordability of even the gadgets that ordinary people have to use. It's difficult in Africa to actually argue for and actually be optimistic about the future of technology, considering levels of poverty, illiteracy, and also accessibility to data. But to a certain extent, we can say there is a place and there is a future for online radio and podcasts in Africa, as it is in other continents.
Do you think this differs from other spaces, like, for example, let's say Twitter Spaces, which is
also using audio.
Digital media has brought about participatory cultures, just like radio. Radio, to a certain extent, especially talk show radio, has afforded ordinary people to participate and speak to the producers and speak to each other, the imagined community that we imagine are listening and calling into the radio. And the difference between Twitter Spaces and radio and podcasts is in a way that, you know, on radio and podcasts, somebody brings a table and invites you to sit around. But in Twitter Spaces, you make your own table and you sit around it and you discuss. And by this, I mean, of course, Twitter Spaces have hosts, some of which are not even qualified to anchor programs on radio and the like. But the fact that they create a space, they bring a table, they can allow people to speak whatever and say whatever without sometimes necessarily cutting them off. On radio, you are constrained by time. There's an anchor and they shape the topic, and also you get cut off if you say something that offends the rules and regulations that run that particular radio station. When you look at podcasts, audiences are not called on to comment, to air their views, they don't engage with the material, because in a podcast it's already recorded, and so there's no way that audiences can, or listeners can, interact and engage.
It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram News Network at sabc.co.za. On email, welcome back. We are still at Africa's Travel Indaba. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
The world's first permanent NFT art museum has opened in Seattle, aiming to pull back the curtain on blockchain-based digital art. Non-fungible tokens are a type of digital asset that has exploded in popularity recently, with NFT artwork selling for millions of dollars.
An NFT is really just a contract that signifies the ownership of an asset of some kind. It's getting used a lot for digital art because there hasn't been a place for storing that ownership for digital art in a way that was accepted across a wide range of people. And so yeah, these tokens, or non-fungible tokens, are basically a contract, or a smart contract is what we call it on the blockchain, that says this serial number belongs to this piece of art, and if you own this token, you are the rightful owner.
While many are still wondering what NFT art actually is, how to create it, and how to collect it, the Seattle NFT Museum will keep educating visitors entering its doors. Still in the USA, the San Francisco Bay will soon have a new fossil fuel-free ferry floating in its waters, propelled completely by hydrogen fuel cells. The aptly named Sea Change is a 70-foot, 75-passenger ferry that will service multiple stops along San Francisco's waterfront. It was built at an all-American marine shipyard in Bellingham, Washington, and undergoing tests with the U.S. Coast Guard in nearby Puget Sound.
In the maritime world, we started with sailboats, and then we developed steam power using coal. And there was a lot of pushback from that and a long time for it to get up to speed. And then came the diesel engines, and everybody thought that that was a silly idea, and there were accidents, and it took a while, but eventually that became the standard. This is going to be the next standard, is fuel cell driven vessels. They're clean, they're efficient, and they make sense economically on scale.
If all goes to plan, Raleigh says the boat will be delivered to the Bay Area in late May and will be servicing passengers this June, just in time for San Francisco's summer season.
With the recent announcement that Elon Musk is buying Twitter, he's also said that there'll be bigger freedoms, especially freedom of speech on the platform. Now, our Twitter poll this week is asking you if you think this can be achieved and if he can really do what he promises. As we're aware that a lot of people died in the recent floods in KZN, and many are out of shelter, food and other needs. There's a call for people to donate whatever they can here at Africa's Tourism Indaba. All right, and that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za, on email. From me, Siphumelele Zondi, and the rest of the team right here at Africa's Tourism Indaba in Durban. Have a good one. Bye-bye.